So my husband is home and I'm gonna check what he's doing with the car. It's working. Hello, I came to interview you.
Interview me?
Yes. So what you're doing, is this the...
This is the system that talks to the computer in the car. And ultimately, I can go and check all of the points. In this case, I'm checking on the high pressure control because that was the error that I had when I first came to the car. Now, I cleared that error.
Wait, what does it say there?
That says there's the front passenger airbag is enabled because you're sitting there. Oh yeah, because
I'm sitting on it.
There's a pressure sensor there. So I'm checking the high pressure control. Now they say so far that it's something that it'll happen, but you just want to check and make sure the values are okay.
Wait, so what does it say is the problem? The high pressure control, what is it?
Well, this controls the amount of pressure in the fuel rail. This is what they call a common rail fuel system in this car. So there are two rails on either side that are being fed by a high pressure pump that keeps them pressurized. And there are a bunch of sensors inside that, or I should say there is a sensor inside that fuel rail, or both of them, that monitors the amount of fuel that is being dispensed through the injectors. Because this is a diesel engine, the injectors are actually inside of the cylinders, so they have to have a lot of high pressure to pump the fuel inside of the cylinders because it's a very high pressure environment.
Okay.
So in this case, I checked in when I first got to the car. I saw that fuel pressure sensor was over its limit. So that told me that, but then I've been looking online in respects to that, and it says that's happened before, but it's not problematic. It's just something that you let the car stabilize, and then once you restart, it all goes back to normal. So that was what the issue was. Now I'm making sure that it's not going to happen again, to see whether or not I need to change out that sensor to see whether or not we are within parameter. So in that case, I go to the sensor, I check the test point, or the point test based on engine speed.
Point test, switch, wait, I can't see.
So the control mode via fuel injection quantity, or switch over point test of the control mode via engine speed. So I can do this one. And then it tells me all the parameters that I have here. And here's the particular control valve that I've been looking at, is the quantity control valve. And it should be between these. So it should be between 33 and 42.
And it's not, it's red.
Well, right now it's at idle. So
okay.
So if I go like this, and I give it a little gas, it'll go up, and then it will be out of that.
We're gonna die inside the car. Not carbonized.
Carbon monoxide?
Yeah, carbon monoxide. What did you do?
Open up the other garage door.
Oh.
So now I'm making sure that
Just
the fuel pressure,
bit so we can follow.
So I'm making sure that the rail pressure and the quantity control valve are working with each other. Right now we're doing fine. We're between 220 and 260 bar, which is a lot of PSI. I can change this to PSI to make it easier to understand, because I'm used to PSI, not bar. Bar is a European measurement. But so right now I'm looking at this pressure control valve and the pressure, actual rail pressure. But the rail pressure is fine. I just want to make sure that the quantity control valve, which is going to tell the fuel pump how much pressure to keep this thing regulated, is good. So I noticed that this thing jumps up. So it looks like this is going to be based on idle speed. So right now this is fine. So let me go here. As long as it doesn't go above 492, we're fine. And we're fine. It sticks around about 460. it does kick over, doesn't it? So this is where it's supposed to be at, based on these. All right, so we're fine. So all this is doing is telling you how much bar I should have at it. What it'll do is it'll base it on the amount, the RPM I'm at. So since I raised the RPM, it's going to base it on that. So right now I'm at 240 bar. So long as I don't stick around in the red, I'm fine. Right now I'm not in the red. I'm at 520, and then I go back down, and I'm back down to 240. As long as I don't go in the red, it means I'm not over pressurizing the system. But what I noticed is,
woo!
Yeah, if I do that, if I give it a quick jumps, what it'll do is it'll over pressurize the system. If you give it like a big kick, it'll over pressurize the system to catch it up. So what it'll do is it'll give it a huge pressure boost to catch up, because it thinks that you're accelerating. So to give it a heavy push, but normally since I don't have any load on it, it's not using up that fuel. So it'll over pressurize the system, if you know what I mean. So if I was actually in drive and I was like trying to accelerate, this might go as high, but it'll level off real fast, because all it's doing is saying I need a lot of pressure because I need to send a lot of fuel to the cylinders.
Okay. Well, do you have any conclusions?
The only thing I'm making sure right now is that I'm noticing, I have to look this up a little bit more, the quantity control valve. Right now, everything seems to be within normal spec. It looks like that was just a stray. Looks like we were just getting, for some reason, we had a just making sure. I'm making sure the sensors are doing what they're doing, because what'll happen is that if the car senses that it's going to send too much, if one of these two sensors, between the rail pressure sensor and the quantity control valve, which is actually going to control the fuel pump or the fuel, yeah, well, ultimately it's a fuel pump compressor. If it goes and gives too much fuel, what it'll do is it'll purge that extra fuel and send it back to the tank. So in other words, if you have too much PSI, it doesn't want to burst anything with too much pressure inside the fuel rails. So it'll purge that fuel at a set point, and that'll send the fuel, it'll just cycle back and go back to the fuel tank. It has a return. But what looks like happened is that this, for some reason, it just it sent fuel back, it lowered, and it looks like it sent too much fuel back, and it lowered the amount of PSI you had in the fuel rail, and then it stalled because it didn't have enough fuel pressure in the fuel rail. And really, in reality, all that would have to happen is just just turn the car on to run, let the fuel system kind of regulate itself again, and after it gets back to that point, you can start the car and everything should be back to normal. And again, I'm going to make sure I look at these variables very closely to make sure it's not going to be something that's going to continue happening, because if it happened this one time, I just need to make sure that the sensors that are monitoring this are getting correct signals. Because if one of them's not getting the correct signal, then it's going to think that you're getting too much fuel. It's going to purge the fuel via the purge valve, send the fuel back, and you're going to have another condition where you have low fuel pressure in the common rail. Thusly, you're going to have a stall condition. It's not going to have enough fuel. The cylinders are not going to have enough fuel to keep the engine running. So I just need to make sure that quantity control valve and the fuel roll pressure are within margins of each other. And if it comes down to it, if I have to change out one of those sensors, that's what I have to do. In fact, I had to do that to the Volvo as well. I had to change out the fuel pressure sensor.
Yeah, we had a Volvo before this car.
And there was a fuel pressure sensor. And I ended up bringing it to a Volvo dealer.
You can tell these people here.
Hi, people. Brought it to a Volvo dealer. They were going to charge me $300 or $400 to put on the fuel pressure sensor, to buy it and put it on. And if memory serves, anyways, I think it was around $300 or $400. They said they quoted me. And then I asked him. I said, "Well," and this was when I was a bit unfamiliar with the whole thing. And I asked him, "Where is the fuel?" I said, "Well, give me a moment. Let me look online." And I looked online, and the fuel pressure sensor.
This light. Where's the light? Oh.
So this will turn them all on.
Okay, so we need a bit. We need a bit of light.
And this will do it where if you have this, it means that when you open the doors, the lights won't turn on.
Okay, just need a little bit of light.
So I ended up looking online, and I looked at and found a fuel pressure sensor. And then I also looked while I was actually at the Volvo dealer, and I asked, and I looked it up, and the Volvo, or the fuel pressure sensor cost about $60. And then I looked where the actual location was, and it's right on the front of the engine, right? A very easily accessible area and very easy to change out. So I said, I'll deal with it. I drove the car back. It was running very weird because obviously the fuel pressure sensor was not operating as it should. So the car was very sluggish, but it still ran. Was able to get it home, and I just ordered the part, and I replaced it myself, and everything was,
How much did you save on that?
If memory serves, I think the fuel pressure sensor was about $60. And it might have been cheaper, in fact. I'm trying to think back. Might have been, because I was looking at it and I was absolutely flabbergasted as far as how much they were going to charge me. Not only for the part itself, which they said was going to be $200 plus, and then it says it's going to be about an hour's worth of labor, which in reality probably would take all of 5 minutes. But they charge things hourly, and that's like $120. So they think they threw it all out to be around $300 or $400 just to do that. And then I ended up just saying, no, I can deal with this. And I took it back, replaced the fuel sensor, and the car was great ever since.
So, all in all, you saved.
All in all, I saved. Well, I mean, if it was based on the $400, I would have saved myself $340 dollars just doing the work myself. And that's again one of the benefits of just kind of going about and researching things. You know, you have the encyclopedias of the world on your phone nowadays.
Google.
And you can look these things up.
Or YouTube.
Or and yeah, YouTube is an invaluable resource when it comes to this stuff, because people always come up to any imaginable problem you have with a car. People have probably come, especially if it's a problem that's a reoccurring problem with different types of cars or motors or manufacturers. They'll make a video about it, and for the most part they'll tell you how to fix it. And if you have any sort of if you're mechanically inclined enough, you could do it yourself. That's been pretty much my mantra for almost every car I've owned, every car our family has had. Even beforehand, I mean, I would just go and fix it. And it was more of a kind of a learning curve over time, that I didn't know too much about things at the beginning. I always liked tinkering with cars, but I didn't know about the complexities with computers and all the various modules and so forth and sensors. And over time I learned more, and I was able to capitalize on that knowledge and fix the things myself. And again, the best resource I could have ever had was obviously just having every tech manual ever known, and all the wonderful mechanics that go about or just do it yourself, or shade true mechanics that go about and do this stuff on their own, and then they just want to share to the world how to do it themselves. And
That's right.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a great thing.
It's an American thing.
And that's how we do it. I mean, I shouldn't say how everybody does it, but people that want to sit there and save money, and in a lot of cases save time, because
But it is an American thing. If you're not mechanically inclined, you will do like gardening, or you will do something else. There's always something you will do it yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. This isn't limited to just vehicles, or just, you know, dealing with fixing, you know, cars or motorcycles or whatnot. This could be this goes to many different types of things you can do yourself, like, you know, landscaping, gardening, house repair.
So it is an American thing.
I think America we've been fortunate being in this country, because we have so much accessibility to parts, and
That's right.
we have so much accessibility to you know, purchasing things online and getting here very quickly. Sometimes people will go ahead and say, I'll just want to have this, say for instance, fixed at a dealer, because it's going to take 2 weeks or something for a part to come in, that you want, you know, you need to fix something on your car, and you don't feel like waiting that amount of time, and the dealer may have it in stock, so you'll just have them do it. So that's one of the things. So we're lucky in that respect, because we have so much available to us in a very quick and efficient manner to get to us.
That's right. And that applies to other skills too. Like there's Home Depot for other areas. There's like for crafts, there's Michael's.
There's Hobby Lobby. You know, and again, you know, when it comes to the amount of availability of resources and tools, we have just we are very blessed in this country to have these sort of things very accessible to us.
Yeah.
And if you have if you're mindful enough to know that these things are available to you, and you know how to utilize them, you can just take on almost any hobby or craft and do things yourself and save a lot of money doing it. You know, and that's not to say to discount people that want to go about and, you know, use a mechanic or have their, you know, landscaping done professionally. I mean, sometimes you want to hand things off to people that have been doing it their whole lives, because a lot of times professionals will come with professional results. And another thing is that, you know, when you do things yourself, i.e. when you work in your car, you're not warrantying your own work. You know, there's no warranty to what you've done, because you did it yourself. And while if you take it to a dealership or whatnot, they'll warranty the work. If you have that problem come again, they'll fix it for you. So, and sometimes people pay for that for peace of mind. They pay for that for just to kind of, you know, not to have that weighing on them. They'll say, I'll pay the extra amount of money just so I know that it was done right, and I don't have to double guess myself to make sure that I was doing it right. But again, that is the trade-off. You know, if it was something as simple as saying, you know, you can fix everything yourself, then everybody would be doing it. Yeah. But some people sit there and say, I'd rather not get into that. I don't want to learn that sort of skill or discipline. I just don't have the time. And they'll say, I'll just take whatever, all my needs will be taken care of through contracting out other people to do it. So yeah, in the end, but how I've always done it is worked very well for me, saved me and my family countless amount of money by doing things ourselves. And you know, it also gives us kind of a bit of a we can actually go forward and save even more money by looking for things that we know that may need repair.
Yeah, like the basement. I'm going to show him the basement on our next video. Right. But now let's see what happens with this car. Let Scott do his magic, because he always finds a solution. And are we going to sell this car?
Well, if you don't feel comfortable with it, then we'll go forward and we'll look for a new one.
Okay.
But I do want to make sure that everything is good for the next owner. And that's my bigger concern, because I don't want to hand off my problems to somebody else. So that's why I'm making sure that everything is good with this vehicle. You know, sometimes you'll find people that want to sell cars because they'll have a problem, and then they'll sit there and try to sell the car in the hopes that people don't know that the car has a problem. But I'm not like that, and we're not like that. We want to make sure that when we sell something to somebody else, that we're selling it to them in good faith, and we know that they're going to have, you know, many miles of enjoyment with the vehicle we're giving them, and or anything that we happen to be selling.
Yeah, and I'll be crying when it goes, because it's a pretty cool car. Like, now I'll let you work. I'm just gonna show how cool this car is. I'll try to focus.
It's got a lot of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a great vehicle.
Oh, I love this.
We used this vehicle we purchased this vehicle, and we actually used it to tow another vehicle that we purchased.
Yeah. All right. So you do your job. Bye bye. All right. So this is the beauty. Okay. So what happened? What happened here? I see you. Apparently, you did some cleaning.
I did indeed. I cleaned it from top to bottom, inside and out. Wanted to make sure everything was as sparkling as I can get it.
And were you able to fix it? Did you fix the car?
The car is fixed. The problem you had, as I was mentioning earlier, was sensor related. It seems as if one of the fuel measuring sensors or fuel metering sensors seemed to fluctuate in a way that made the car want to stall. That problem seems to have resolved itself because I didn't notice any patterns that the sensors were having any problems. I took it on a long drive and I monitored the sensors, and they seem to be doing just fine. They seem to be metering fuel in an appropriate manner. And then thusly afterwards, I filled it up with gas, drove it around some more, and the car seemed to be doing just fine.
Wonderful.
So the two sensors that could have been the problem, though, I will keep a watchful eye on them, because now I know if this problem does occur, it's telling me that maybe one of the sensors is going bad and it's just acts up erratically. But from what I've read on all the various discussion boards in respects to these things, they said that these sort of things, they happen, and if it only happens once and everything kind of returns, it's usually just a one-off, and the sensor may have just had a kind of a hiccup. But they said if the sensor is going bad, it's going to continually deteriorate. After, you know, it's not one of those things where all of a sudden it'll start getting better and then you'll just be able to move on. That's why I test drove it for the distance I did, because I wanted to make sure that nothing came up. But nevertheless, I do know the two sensors that if it does come up again, I will have those on order and I'll get those replaced. They're not particularly hard to replace. But up until then, we should be okay. And as I will tell my wife, if it does happen,
You will tell your wife? Who's your wife?
I will tell you.
You're telling me, so tell me now.
Okay. I'm not sure if I'm addressing you or the audience here, but nevertheless, if this does happen to come up, which it shouldn't, but you know, you never know. Simply stop the car, let everything reset, bring it back, turn it back, the accessories on, start the car, and everything should be just fine.
Okay.
Okay, so
That's good news. So now we can return the rental car?
we can return the rental car tomorrow, and we shall be going shopping for another car, just so we have a backup.
Okay.
So that is probably in our best interest anyways, because sometimes we're going to want to have to do two different things. I've always taken my bike for the most part, but I think it's probably best for us to at least have two vehicles.
Okay, so this week we're gonna drive the Mercedes, like this car here, right?
Correct.
This week. Okay, so can I go shopping for another? I told people you don't like my stickers.
Hey, we got a little button for that.
No, I just want to show my sticker. Can I go shopping for another sticker?
Yes, and of course you need the front license plate.
Yeah, that. This car is super cool here. This car is super cool here because it has this emergency thing, right? How do we?
Yep, it has an emergency thing in, although it is from 2008. So
Yeah, it has expired probably.
Oh, that's a silver.
That's right.
For
So
that
nobody
dynamic
has
sound.
ever used it, but look how cool Mercedes is. Right, it comes with the first aid kit, but it's a 2008
It's a Mercedes, so
Mercedes kit. So it's probably old.
Yeah, it's 14 years old, so, but it's never been opened.
Like expiration.
Whoa, no, we still got time. 2024.
Oh, it's good.
Yay! Okay, so long as we sell it in the next 2 years, it's good to go.
So when we sell the car, we'll take a picture and say, hey, the first aid,
The first
first
aid
aid
kit
kit
is still good.
It's still good. So
Wait a minute, when did it say this? This is 2000. Oh, okay. Okay, the wipes and bandages are going to be expiring.
Oh, that's good.
The
You
middle
ju-
of this month,
yeah,
or
you
middle
ju-
of this
you-
year.
You just go to Costco and buy a new one, but the rest is awesome. So
I never bothered looking
you're
at that
good
thing.
to go, man. Okay, let's see if it's gonna Anyway, so that's pretty cool. I think all the Mercedes cars have something like
Yeah,
this.
they all have that sort of.
Yeah.
I think it's required.
Well, can you help me out here?
Yes, I will take care
So
of that.
this is pretty cool.
Yeah, because German cars, they have that thing called German regulations require that they have these things on board.
Yeah, but I don't need to buy another license plate for the front because I just need to, I hope this is it. Oh, although I have a problem here. This is a hitch. I hit a hitch. Whatever, if I have to buy a new one, I'll just buy a new one. I like this car.
It's exceptionally clean. In fact, I probably went even more obsessive compulsive on my cleaning this time around than I did when we first bought it. Fresh coat of wax on it for the summertime, which is on the horizon. And yeah, it should be good to go. One thing great about
Yeah, but
Mercedes-
you did good cleaning, but there's pollen all over the place. Where's the other car?
Well, fortunately, unless we park it outside, that shouldn't be too much of a problem. As long as we park it in the garage,
Pollen.
we should be all right. It'll collect pollen as you drive it, obviously, but. Oops, I gotta get that other seat down.
Parece cocô de passarinho, mas não é não. É água e pólen. Olha o pólen no chão. É um saco essa época do ano. Aqui, ó.
But I'm looking forward to finding a new car for you. Because for all intents and purposes, it will probably be another car for you. Because I have my bike.
Okay. All right. Okay, so that's a happy ending. I hope. It will
Time will
be-
tell.
Yeah.
And hopefully everything will, it will, you know, be problem free for quite a while. Mercedes diesels are notorious for running forever, which is a good thing, which is why I really kind of liked the car when we first got it, because I understood that the diesels they made are practically bulletproof engines. It's that the electronics on them is wishy-washy from time to time, which which has been evidenced quite often with this car. But fix things as they come, and hopefully it'll be happily ever after.
All right. Okay, so that's it for today. Let's hope for the best. Let's hope we find a good car, because it's really difficult to find a safe car nowadays.
Well, I mean, Volvos and Subarus tend to have probably the best ratings when it comes to that. Volvo practically trademarked safety. When it came to their cars, they were like the first one. They established the first seatbelts and airbags. These were all Volvo creations. And ever since then, they, let everybody else carry onward with implementing all these new safety measures. But yeah, they are kind of the benchmark when it comes to safety. Volvos, that's why we got Volvos from the
Yeah,
get-go.
but they're expensive.
They are expensive.
So let's see.
We'll see what we get. I know with Subarus are phenomenal cars. They're very great. They're very, what they would call yuppie cars.
Yuppie, that's a new word. Go look into your dictionary. What's yuppie, teacher?
Yuppies. Yuppies are what? White Christian suburbanites.
Christian suburbanites.
White Christian suburbanites.
White Christian suburbanites.
My friends at Capital One used to always call me, when I drove up in the Volvo, they said, oh, you're yuppie mobile. It's kind of like, I don't know, the people that are, upper middle class, kind of the very pious types, tend to drive. I mean, and I don't know, that's just kind of been one of those things that they, there's no real truth necessarily to it, but that somehow it came into being that people that drive Volvos were considered yuppies.
Okay,
But
see people, nobody said English was easy. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, we'll let you people go. We have some stuff to do and I am freezing here. Not that it's so cold, but well, it's kind of windy and I get sinus infection with this wind. So yeah, well, let's hope for the best. Now that my car is fixed, I'm kind of leaning towards keeping it. No, I'm just kidding. I think that was a joke. But okay.
We'll play it by ear.
Yeah.
But it's always fun to look around and find.
No, I'm gonna look around. I'm just kind of frustrated because I can't find a car that I like within my budget. So yeah, let's see. Okay, so say bye-bye, Scott.
Bye-bye.
No, say bye-bye, Scott.
Bye-bye, Scott.
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye.